Welcome to the Latin Wealth Podcast, a podcast dedicated to educating the Latino community about entrepreneurship, investing, and business.
Yo, what's going on, Latin Wealth family? Welcome to another episode to Wealth Wednesday. And if this is your first time tapping into this show on the Latin Wealth platform, first of all, thank you for pulling up. We appreciate you guys. Second of all, this is a weekly show that we put out every single Wednesday. No Wednesdays missed, where we talk about trending news, trending topics, and really how they relate to the Latino community. And most importantly, it's coming from two Latinos, all right? It's not coming from two folks outside of our community. It's coming from us, all right? So we're giving you guys our perspective. And we got two really dope topics that we're going to be hitting on today. Number one, we're going to be hitting on Kamala Harris and her administration launches a WhatsApp channel aimed at bilingual Latino voters. And this is pretty crazy because this is the first time a presidential campaign has created a channel to specifically engage with Latinos. So we're going to hit on that. And for the most of the episode, we're also going to be hitting on Mexico and the United States. We're going to be speaking about their trade relationships, all right? So the United States makes up about 43% of Mexico's total imports. In Mexico, their exports to the north is actually a huge component of the relationship as well. We're going to be diving into how it's deepened over the years. And before we get into it, my brother Jeremiah, how you feeling today, bro?
I'm feeling lively. I'm loving the topics that we got, and hopefully people got their notebooks ready. Sounds like we're gonna
Yes,
be
sir.
giving out a whole bunch of gems on this relationships and stuff. So let's get to it.
Let's get it. Let's get it. So let's dive right into the bulk of the conversation that we're going to have today, and that's Mexico and the United States, the world's largest trade relationship. And we're going to start back in 1994 to kind of give you guys some history on the relationship. Fun fact, 1994 was a good year because I was born. You know what I'm saying? But in addition to that, the North America Free Trade Agreement was formed, which is called NAFTA, was implemented and really just created the world's largest free trade agreement between Mexico, Canada, and United States. And something that's very important that we have to hit on is they focus on eliminating tariffs, which they wanted to eliminate taxes on most imported and exported goods between Mexico, Canada, and United States. Before we continue, Jeremiah, um, no, I'm not. I was gonna ask you something, but you ain't this
Go
old.
ahead. No, go
I was
ahead.
gonna say, do you remember
Might be.
when you remember when this was implemented? No, I want to know your thoughts. You know, I don't know. Around this time, was this something that you heard about? I know back in the days you were trading and into finances at a very early age. So was this something that was potentially on your radar?
When I was younger now, yeah, so I'm not that old. I was a little kid when this came out, but it was a very big deal. I do remember the news actually
Mm.
about it. I was old enough to remember news, and it was a huge deal because the overall goal for Mexico was to get to the point to where they became more than just known for cartels,
Mm.
right? And vacation spots, and they've seemingly done that. Um, I believe Mexico now has arrived at the place of where they've tried to get to or where they were hoping to get to with this agreement. Everyone already knew that the cultural background and everything was very similar with, the United States of America and Canada. They just shared, right? England being the proprietor, the propagator of their countries. Like it was just kind of right. Things were just really aligned. Same language. Canada's just north, but it's basically you go and you can't really tell that you're too much different from America or anything, right? You cross over that border. So I know Mexico was always trying to work their way in. They have great resources and stuff. So I think that where we are now, when I remember then, they were super hopeful. And I
Mm.
think it's been, well, I mean, it's been 30 years. So 30 years of time put in and trades and craziness and all kinds of stuff back and forth. But now they're to the point to where they knocked off China. We spoke about this
Yeah,
last episode. They knocked China out of that spot. So that's a
crazy.
good thing. It's a good thing to to have it all in the same hemisphere.
Yeah, 100%. So back in 1991, 92, 93, 94, Mexico was pretty much in the red when it came to trading with the United States. And since then, their economy has nearly tripled in size since this relationship was formed. And pretty much the two economies move in sync today. The U.S. consumers and businesses want to buy, quality foreign goods at a fair price. And, Mexico has been a key provider since then. Like I mentioned, from 1991 to 94, Mexico was in the negative. And since then, it's become a $150 billion trade surplus last year. Um, Crazy, absolutely
That's
insane.
That's some wild numbers. I think telecommunications had a big deal to do with that. So technologies helped Mexico to take off tremendously. Obviously, oil and gas, they've been there. And I think Mexico owns that industry, or it's most of it is government sponsored. It's a little
Yeah,
bit different than private entities that we have here in the States, but telecommunications is also very, very big with Mexico. So I believe that the technology taking off the way that it has, that's given Mexico an additional foothold and a way to build up that economy to get it stronger, to start focusing and creating better relationships. Super. Hey, Chris, I want to ask you something. What if Mexico got bothered by certain politicians' stance on immigration and decided to return the favor? Like basically,
yikes,
we're upset with how you feel about that situation,
yikes.
so we're going to create tariffs on what would
It gets
happen with that.
it gets ugly
Uh,
because now the relationship with China, it's already
mm.
it's shaky grounds in the gray. We don't really know, and you mess with the relationship with Mexico,
I think
dicey.
that those I asked that question because I think that those are things that these politicians should probably consider and think about. You
Yeah,
know, you may have feelings about people or feel a certain type of way about people, but maybe you should think about the overall good holistically for the country that is dependent upon 42% of the imports, right?
you got to play
Because
chess.
you, huh? Yeah, because
You got to play chess.
you've killed the other relationship already. I mean, well, I can't say killed, but if we didn't owe China as much as we did, and they didn't need,
Hmm.
like America's needed in the world, right? Like, I mean, let it be whatever, but America's needed. So if
Yep.
America wasn't needed, it'd be a different relationship.
Yeah, 100%. And what's I want to kind of break down, how Mexico has really been capitalizing on this relationship. Well, first and foremost, their proximity to the world's largest consumer, United States, has helped
Yeah,
them out a lot. And if you're curious what the United States has been buying, man, we buy everything. Let's be honest, we buy
everything.
everything. You mentioned telecommunication, computers, electronic machineries, plastic, oils, but also vehicles as well has was another big component of it as
Wow.
well. Yeah. So, um, yeah, I mean it's really been a perfect fit for both the United States and Canada supply chains when it comes to manufacturing, agriculture, and again, we mentioned technologies as a big component of it as well. So, actually what I want to do, if possible, real quick, I want to share the graph so we can kind of look into um, visualizing the U.S. and the Mexico trade. If I can share my
One
screen,
second. Yeah,
yeah,
I got you, man. Let's get
do
to
that
it.
real quick. I want to just shake it up a little bit so that people can see what we're talking
Hey, I
about.
like that. No, that way we can actually give them visual of what we got going on. Yeah, let's
Let's
do
do
it.
that. Let's see if you can see my screen.
Yep, looks good.
Jeremiah, boom. Okay, here we go. So, what you are, if you are listening to this, bear with us for a couple minutes. But if you're watching, you can see this graph created by Latino Metrics. Love their graph, loves their information that they put out. Pretty much what you're going to be seeing is if it's in the green, this green information is pretty much Mexico to United States. Blue is the United States to Mexico. And you can see, look, clearly vehicles, computer and electronics, machinery takes up the bulk of what's being exported to the United States. Those three categories makes up 476 billion. Just those three categories.
Hmm, that's amazing. And what's
Yep.
crazy is that the green is stronger than the blue,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
So the
The blue is
US would
more
look at it,
sporadic, kind of.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's different stuff, right? The bulk of
Different
that
stuff. That's
coming
what it is.
from you know, looks like fuel, others. I don't know what those others are. We'd have to look at what the others are. But
Yeah.
very resource based trades and things that are essential, basically commodities, are coming from Mexico. So
Hmm.
if I'm Mexico, I'm looking to increase that, right? If I can build up that green sector, we're already ahead of what the US sends to us. So we want to try to, build up that green as strong as possible, to where, they become essential. I believe now, even at this point, they're super essential.
Yeah. 100%. So if you guys are wondering like vehicles, what entails in the vehicle section, it's not the whole vehicle itself because it's probably it's typically most of the parts. But for example, you may get a seatbelt from Taiwan or something like that, but you may get the bulk of the car from Mexico.
Yeah, and I think that a lot of people were like, "Wait, they bring over cars or whatever." No, there's pieces. Different pieces are manufactured different places based upon the components or what makes up that piece. So if you have a big bulk of what's coming over, is looks like vehicles are multiple pieces. That's a good look, which means they have a lot of metal and foundry and they have things like that that are available in
Yeah,
Mexico. That's
yeah,
that's good.
yeah, 100%. And I want to go down to the second graph really quick. I found like this was very interesting. Which U.S.
Ah,
states trade the most with Mexico?
yeah, you
So if
knew
you
that.
guys are listening, you guys can probably guess the top two, Texas and California. But the third one, Michigan. And you go ahead, talk
Makes
about it.
sense.
Why do you think
I
US
mean,
or why do you think Michigan is doing business with Mexico?
that's the car companies.
The car company.
So,
That's
obviously the Ford, Chrysler, Chevy, all of them are in Detroit. So you make strong ties, and they're probably a big piece of Detroit making its comeback that it's been making. I'd be very interested to look at the overall influx of money coming from Mexico, right, into
mhm,
Detroit, and helping to, help them rebuild to the places
good
where they
point.
were, because Detroit was down for quite a bit following 2008.
Mm-hmm. 100%. And you can see if you're looking on the screen, the green bubbles represent transportation equipment. It's a lot of the states,
Illinois is pretty large as well. Illinois is doing beverage and tobacco.
beverage and tobacco. Yeah,
That's
interesting there.
big. It's really big. Yeah.
You even got Puerto Rico on here. They're doing
Mhm.
transportation equipment as well.
Yeah, I see that.
Hawaii,
Arizona has a different color. Arizona's doing agricultural. Huh, that's interesting.
what color is that?
That's pink. They're the only one. And it's 20 billion.
Excuse me. Okay.
You see that down at the bottom there? Arizona 20
Oh, right here.
billion of
Yep, yep, yep. 20 billion.
agriculture.
Yep, yep. That's
Yeah, very,
interesting.
very interested to see what that is. Arizona's actually super fertile. Their land out there is
Mm-hmm.
crazy. You like the desert? And like, yeah, it actually is super fertile.
Yeah, 100%. So, yeah, we wanted to kind of show you guys what specifically is going on, what it looks like. Again, top three, Texas, California, Michigan. At first, Michigan, I was like Michigan, but I forgot, like you said, the all the major American car companies are out there. So yeah, hopefully this is a good visual for y'all to see. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. Let me get back to the Zoom. Boom. So very, very interesting stuff. Shout out to Latino Metric
Yeah.
for creating these graphs and these information. Um, but like you said, just last August, Mexico displaced China as the number one trading partner for the United States. So that was pretty big.
It's a big accomplishment. And we can, NAFTA and everything, we want to continue to try to drive that relationship. That's going to strengthen the relationship here on our side, make us less susceptible to logistical issues, right? Because during COVID, you saw a lot of prices of things that we were waiting for, chips, all sorts of things that we sourced from the other side of the world. Pricing went up, and we had a lot of back orders and stuff like that. So
Hmm. And you mentioned, continue to strengthen this relationship um, with people coming into the country. Is it something that should be a huge focus. That's actually a really good point, man. Like now that got me thinking like I wonder what's Mexico's feelings and thoughts on that are like. Are they like, okay, y'all playing with fire right now? If you want to go down this
I
route, we
mean,
can go.
and that's all dependent upon. I mean, we know we don't talk super strong in politics, but you obviously know there's one side that's against immigration, clearly, it wants borders and walls and things like that, and there's another side that's not so much. The key is in the middle, right? And if anything, if I'm that other side, I'm thinking to keep those relationships strong, keep open ties of communication with Mexico, and I want to highlight that, right? Which leads us into our other
Yeah,
segue into our other
yeah.
because to keep that
Perfect,
relationship strong.
perfect segue. Kamala Harris launches a WhatsApp channel aimed at bilingual Latino voters. All right. So, as the Democratic National Convention kicked off on Monday in Chicago, the presidential campaign of Vice President Kamala Harris has created a bilingual WhatsApp channel targeting Latino voters, as we just um, brought up multiple times. Basically, the channel is a place where users can go get behind the scenes information about the campaign and what it's doing to help Latino families. All right. So, why WhatsApp? If you guys are wondering why WhatsApp, well, WhatsApp is a very popular platform among Latinos and Hispanics across the United States, with 54% of Latinos adults reporting they use the app. So that is why they chose WhatsApp. Very interesting. I don't know if you were able to get into the channel. I was in it earlier. Look, I know it was just created on Saturday. There ain't a lot going on right now. There's not too much information. It's pretty much, just a couple of videos. And we're recording this on a Tuesday, so they had a couple of days. But I felt like if you're going to create a WhatsApp channel, why not have some content? Why not have some
Yeah,
information ready to go to be placed in there?
yeah,
Just a couple promo videos. That's pretty much it for
yeah.
now. But very interesting that they're taking this turn.
So don't. Hmm, what's funny is this. What's crazy is that so a lot of people, and Republicans are highly focused on the black vote. Obviously, they want to try
Mm-hmm.
to swing that to try to get as much as possible. Um, Very wise of the Democrats to focus on the Latino
Gotcha.
vote because I mean, unaccounted for, we are the majority. So I believe that that's a great focus for them. I think it shouldn't just be a checkpoint, though. It shouldn't just be a checklist or checkbox for you. Like you said, you need to have content that's already ready. You need to have um, very prominent Latino actors, activists,
Mm-hmm.
singers,
Yep.
things like that that are already aligned with you and speaking about what you're going to do. You need to be interviewing those people to say why they chose to support this. What are you going to do? What's your actual plan? Lay out the plan. It's all systems go.
They have
um
to.
Democrats, it's all systems go. I think, I mean, like we said, we don't talk politics overly or how whatever, but you'd
Mm-hmm.
be a fool to think, I mean, it's pretty strong the other way. So
For sure.
it should be all systems go. This is a great plan, but the rollout is horrible. It kind of reminds me of Apple stuff. You
Bro,
got a plan, but your rollout was lacking.
I'm like, I went in there. I'm like, okay, what am I gonna see? And there wasn't anything in there. And you can
I
see
mean,
how
I'm
many people you can see how many people are in there. There's only 2,000.
you got to pick those numbers up, and there has to be more of a concerted effort to get people involved. Um, there has to be festivals. You have to have meetups, right? You send out locale via WhatsApp and say, "Hey, let's all meet up. If you support Kamala Harris, let's meet up at blah 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 at this restaurant. You'll get 50% off." Like stuff like that should already have been implemented. And I'm not a
100%.
strategist, but I could have did that in two
That's
hours.
Come
You
on. And
know?
like if you would have had like an interview with somebody like you said, a celebrity, whatever, an
Yeah,
artist,
for
yo, you want to check
sure.
out this interview? Go to WhatsApp channel. Boom.
Yeah, I would have done something
Exclusive on
exclusive
there.
with what's the guy from Univision? Like I would have done that. I think his name is Enrique or algo así. Like I would have got with him and done something exclusive. And it's only available on our channel. You want to see what Kamala Harris actually sees for the next 4 years for Latino families, touch here, boom, and then that increases the subscribers. Hey, you want exclusive content? Email here, right? Like you got to be. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm trying to give them stuff, but
You got to be ready. You got to come with it like
You
that.
got to be
Like you
ready
said,
because the other side's ready. The other side is they're strong to their base. They're pushing that base. They're keep it. They, you know what I mean. They're like the base. They're what they believe in is already
yeah,
out there. There's a plan that's out there, and they got
you're
lots
right.
of support. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I will say one thing that I'll bring up, and we're going to be wrapping up pretty soon, is um the one of the knocks they got from this channel or this rollout is, the Latino audience are more likely to receive, consume, and share fake news and
Mm,
misinformation online compared to other populations. This was like
mm,
a clearly an issue with our people. Multiple
mm,
articles I read brought this up. So it is important, whether you're in this channel supporting whatever or a different one, wherever you
yeah.
land, it's important that you do your due diligence because this is exactly what they're talking about. They're talking about our people are not doing the proper due diligence to figure out what's real, what's not, what's AI and all types of stuff.
Right.
We're not doing our due diligence. We're more susceptible to
Yeah.
sharing fake news.
And a lot of that has to do with the language barrier. So you don't actually,
True.
you're not used to hearing people in their native language to understand if someone said something or they didn't, and it doesn't even sound like it may sound like that person, but you know it's AI because that person just wouldn't say that.
Yeah.
And so a lot of it is language barrier because you're just getting the translated version. And then the other of it is just culturally, we're just much more passionate, emotional people.
Mm-hmm.
So we lean
That's
more
true.
into the emotions of things instead of the logic thought. And I think that's a big piece of it. So you may feel a certain type of way and you're just leaned into that emotion versus of making like a logical thought process of what's gonna be beneficial. Is this news? This doesn't even sound right. Like you just wouldn't do this, no matter if it's against the person that you don't like or that you wouldn't vote for. You shouldn't believe it or share it. Because fake news is fake news, right? And you
Yeah.
just it's not worthy, and we got to do better on that. That's what that channel should be about,
Mm.
telling real news, giving exclusive access to real news and what the actual thoughts are. But hey, I'm not controlling it. So
Mm.
there we go.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right. I think we mentioned when we brought up earlier this year when we brought up the AI stuff and the fake
Yeah.
ads, I mentioned that my grandmother hit me up and was like, "Yo, I seen a video on YouTube or ad on YouTube and Steve Harvey giving out money." And I seen the
Uh,
video and it sounded just like him. So I can
yeah.
see how it can be an issue.
Yeah. No, you can become susceptible to things like that. And that's scams. And there's a whole bunch of things that come from that. But I believe for me, what I believe is if you start, like you said, do your due diligence and actually investigate these people, even if it's not in your native language, if it's in Spanish, understand the things that these people say on a normal basis. And any candidate, now there's some crazy people and there's crazy candidates, but even Trump himself, he says some wild things, but there's just some things he wouldn't say. Like he wouldn't be
Yeah.
like, come out, hey, F Biden and I'm shoot him. And like there's just certain things. I've seen some crazy
Right.
stuff. And I'm
No,
like,
you're
bro,
right.
even he's not gonna say that. And so you just gotta know, and we just gotta work on that.
Yeah.
A lot of it is
100%.
language. That's a big piece of it. Language is context in American English, the way we say things. It could be a word, but it has so many different meanings in the way that we
Yeah.
say it, and so that doesn't get translated. And so there's that's a piece of it as well.
Let me ask you one last question. If
Yeah.
if her administration came to you and said, "Look, yo, we didn't roll out this WhatsApp channel properly. We want you to, come in here and help us out."
Hmm.
What are your thoughts? What would you do? I know, look, again, we're not being political. We've always said we're
No.
we're both in the middle. We give you guys information from both sides. What would you
Yeah.
do in that scenario?
I mean, I'm obviously going to try to consider the option and try to help as much as possible. There's always been clearly one side that focuses maybe more on minorities, even if it is keeping them in a space of subsidiary or maybe not giving them the tools to care for themselves or whatever. But yeah, I mean, I'm not political, but if you come asking for help, if I saw that it would overly holistically help Latinos, yeah, I'm going to help.
Hmm.
I mean,
Hmm.
yeah, for sure.
I would say I would do it as well, but I need to ask the questions that I want to ask.
For sure. For sure.
That's it. That's the only rule.
Unadulterated, uncensored. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I
it's
have
gotta
to
happen.
ask what I, yeah. So, anyways,
Gotta happen.
Look, if you guys enjoyed this episode, learned something, maybe you've seen something from the graph that stood out to you, it would mean the world to us if you could share this one episode with one other person that needs to be tapped into the Latin Wealth platform. Also, um, what is it? Today is Tuesday. This Friday, we're going to be putting out a new show on the Latin Wealth platform focused around personal development and mental health. Finally coming out. We've been teasing that for a while. We've been trying to get it right. That's going to be coming out. So the reason why we wanted to create this show because we want you guys to be better holistically, right? All of this comes and intertwines together. Having the right mindset of developing yourself so you can be in a position to invest, to understand what we're talking about and so forth and so forth. We want to continue to give you guys quality content to help you improve. So look out for that this week.
I love that. Gotta help
That's it.
gotta help with the holistic, man. Wealth,
Yeah.
right? Health is wealth, and that starts with your mental health. So I'm excited about that.
Yep. That's it. And as always, a lot of family. We'll catch you guys next week. Peace.
Peace, guys.